Now.
This is Motorsport Radio. Join the conversation and have your say on motorsport-radio.com. Motorsport Radio. The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
Hello and welcome to the Superbike Show. My name is Lester. We are live and this is the 1 year anniversary of all of the programmes on Motorsport Radio. Yes, the Superbike Show is 1 year old to this very, very day. Amazing. And despite kind of not doing any shows for most of the season, we started our first show 1 year ago to this very day, and it was Tom Brooks, now a commentator at Dorder, of course, who did the very first ever Superbike show. And hello, Tom, if you're tuned in live to us, great to have you along with us, who actually did and presented the first ever show, and kind of fitting really that we're still on air, I suppose, 1 year later. And we had lots of things happening on the show 1 year ago to this very, very day. We had Pete Extons from Bournemouth Kawasaki, and we had who else did we have? We also had Kiko Alexander Giles as well, a young upstart / commentator / journalist / black pudding enthusiast on the show. He was here doing his thing, making his radio debut, I suppose, and since then he's gone on to do, well, not much more than that. And also we had I think we had Philip Backlund on the show as well this time last year, and I think it was just before or just after last year's Motorcycle Live show as well. So that happened as well, and we're delighted to say that we will be at this year's Motorcycle Live show on the Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and perhaps other days as well. So if you see us walking around there, branded in the Motorsport Radio shirts and such, with a microphone and a camera and such, come and say hello. Yes, don't say bad things to us because we'll cry. But yeah, hello. You're more than welcome to come and say hello. We won't bite. It'd be really nice to actually see who's actually sort of tuned into this thing, because we are live. We are live right now on our website, motorsport.radio, a slightly revamped, brand new website. I say slightly, it's just kind of I messed around with the website a little bit earlier today, and it looks a little bit better. That's all I'll say. We are live on Facebook right now. Hello, if you're tuned in live on Facebook, and hello if you're also tuned in live on the Twitters and the YouTubes and anywhere else as well, and via podcast as well, because we do audio podcasts. So yeah, we've got loads of stuff coming up on tonight's show. We'll be talking MotoGP and looking ahead to the big final. Who's going to do it? Who's not going to do it? Are there going to be any shocks? Probably not. But let's talk about it anyway. That's coming up in just a moment. Plus, we'll have a quick rundown of Moto 2 and Moto 3. When I say quick, probably about 20 minutes each, knowing Kiko. And also BSB news, because there has been some news that's erupted. We'll get to that a little later. We want to know your opinions on, if you already know the news, we want to know your opinion tonight on whether you think it's good, bad, right or wrong, or whether you think it should be banned and what the government should be doing about it. Grr, question time coming up later. Ben Curry is coming up live on the show. Kiko's already laughing. Ben Curry, live interview with Ben later at less than 1 hour. So he's live on the show here. If you've got any questions for him, then do get them into us. It's hashtag MSportRadio, or no, it's at MSportRadio. It's hashtag The Superbike Show for tonight's show, and you can either contact us via the comments box if you're listening or watching this live stream. We'll also get on to talking about some World Superbike news a bit later on, and also an update on the attendances for the 2017 World Superbike season, something that Kiko Alexander Giles is very hot on as well. He's been a little bit critical of some of the attendances, and we've had that debate here on this show many times about what needs to be done and where should the old World Superbikes be going and how can it be improved and what needs to be fixed, and same old arguments. And we'll have it again tonight, and we want to know your opinions of it. And joining us on tonight's show, once again, it is, please welcome, fresh from his Thursday night black pudding, Kiko Alexander Giles.
Good evening, everyone there watching and listening. Of course, we are on Facebook, as Lester said, but we are mainly radio, so great to have you all listening in. As always, it's a Thursday night. It's, forget question time, forget the pledge. It's all about the Superbike show where the real discussions are happening. And get tuned in. Tweet us, send us abuse on Facebook if you really need to. In the comments, let us know what we should be talking about or what you want to have our thoughts on, of course. It's not all about you guys. We don't want to throw all of you under the bus. Lester has no problem in voicing his opinions. And it really is a packed show tonight. I've got to say, we've got to get through such a great deal of content. It's all about MotoGP prior to Valencia. Dovizioso is going to take on Marc Marquez. We've got to talk British Superbikes. There's a raft of signings across all classes there. And we've got to also talk about World Superbikes. There's a few signings there, a few rumours there as well, a few confirmations of what is and what is not happening. And we'll also be able to talk about the World Superbike attendance, because I have a lovely little graph going on here. Not that you can see it, because I have it right in front of me now. That tells me who were the best Friday attendances, Saturday attendances, and Sunday attendances, and who had the highest attendance over all 3 days.
He's been busy with his crayons, basically.
This is it. I've been colouring in. Apart from that, we have the big interview tonight. Our very, very important person joining us on the show tonight is Ben Curry, the Gearlink Kawasaki rider, who took an incredible amount of points in the last part of the 2017 British Supersport Championship, which it consisted of a double at Alton Park. Fantastic stuff from him. He also went very well at Assen and again at Blantyre. Ben Curry, probably one of Australia's finest riders emerging from British Superbikes, and that's credit again to BSB. But we're going to talk MotoGP first, I believe, while I just go and tuck into the weakest cup of tea I've ever made.
Yes, so as Kiko hopefully doesn't repeat every single word of what I just said all throughout the entire evening, we will talk about MotoGP. What are we going to talk about next, Kiko?
Probably MotoGP.
There we go. All right, so yes, tell us about the old MotoGP then.
Right, MotoGP, it all comes to an end this weekend. The Valencian Grand Prix is the traditional season close now. It is mid-November. It used to be mid-October. So that shows how much depth of Grand Prix, of interest we have in the sport now. It's been pushed back to accommodate other races. But apart from that, it probably is, with the exception of maybe 2006 and 2015, the best MotoGP finish we're going to see. Can Ducati really do this? Can Marc Marquez defend his honour from 2016 when he was champion? Will he be able to, this is not a full-gone conclusion just yet, will he be able to actually, first of all, do what he needs to do, which is, a front one or two rows maybe, top six would be ideal after qualifying. But will he be able to keep out of trouble? Valencia is known for pile-ups. Turn 1, we saw one in 2011. We saw a big one in Moto 2 a couple of years ago, which brought out a red flag. And that last corner, turn 14, back in 2008, we saw Max Neukirchen and Carlos Checa in World Superbikes come together there. And there's a lot of corners on the Valencian circuit that actually have a lot of potential to cause damage. Now, if Marc Marquez has a poor qualifying and he's in the midst of the field of a pack that he doesn't really know who he's racing with, that really could be detrimental to how he does over the weekend. Likewise, Andrea Dovizioso has never won in Valencia. His best result was in 2004 in the 125 class, which he won the championship in that season. Ducati have not won at Valencia since 2008 with Casey Stoner, and Andrea Dovizioso's best result was 2014 when he was 4th on a Ducati. The problem that we all have now is there's also going to be riders interfering. Valentino Rossi and Maverick Vinales, for example, they haven't actually won a race in the second half of this year. The last time that Yamaha as a brand, not even as a factory team, but as a brand, didn't win in the second half of the season was 2003. That is a long time ago. In the last race, in the Malaysian Grand Prix, we also saw that Jorge Lorenzo followed Andrea Dovizioso home. It was a Ducati 1-2. Now, if that was to happen again, and here's a statistic that I think will shock a few people, it will be the first time ever that Ducati course in MotoGP have had back-to-back 1-2s. That is a statistic, an achievement that I cannot believe I was reading. There's a lot more to get through as well. You've got a few riders who, although they have rides for next year, will want to go out on a high. Navarro Bautista is one of them, Carol Abraham another. Both riders have had success in the past over at in Valencia. Carl Abraham won the Moto2 race in 2010, and Alvaro Bautista got a second place there in 2009 in the 250cc class. KTM, their lap time from qualifying last year was a 1 minute 32.092. That's the benchmark for them guys out there. Bradley Smith and Paul Espargaro both finished in the points again last weekend in Malaysia. They'll be looking to bring home both bikes in the points for a 7th time this season. Apart from that, Cal Crutchlow will be looking to sign off on a generally good way. He's had a bit of a difficult season of late, hasn't had a podium since Argentina, which was round 2 of the season. Cal Crutchlow, his best finish at Valencia was 4th, although he did win the World Supersport race there in 2009 and qualified on pole position for a World Superbike race in 2010. So lots of stats, lots of facts, but it's all about what's going to happen out on track.
Well, as I usually do, Kiko, I usually always ask you about predictions and such, and obviously I think we already know who's going to win the championship. But who's going to? I'd say who's going to be on the podium in either 2nd or 3rd place. Not asked you that one.
I mean, it's going to be difficult for Dovizioso.
Don't name every single rider on the grid, though.
I'm not going to do what I did last week and say why everyone deserves one. But it's going to be difficult for Andrea Dovizioso to win at Valencia. The track does not really suit Ducati. It's more like a go-kart circuit, really. It's a lot of switchbacks on itself. It's very tight. To use a word that a lot of people use, nadry. It's a little bit like Le Mans, just the even tighter version of Le Mans. So Ducati didn't go well at Le Mans. I can't see them going very well in Valencia. Having said that, Ducati hadn't won ever at Silverstone. So, how true do we read into all of this? One thing, though, I will say, I don't know who's going to win. It'll be Dovi or Marquez, I believe. It'll be one of them. But on the podium, I'll say 2 riders now. I think Aleix Espargaro has a shot, and I think Valentino Rossi. Although Danny Pedrosa has got such a great record and an imperious record, he hasn't had a podium in Valencia since 2015. Okay, that's only 2 years ago, but if he was that good, he probably would have been there or thereabouts last season. Andrea Iannone normally goes well at Valencia, but they haven't. The Suzukis have not done very well either of late. And quick statistic while I'm on the Suzukis, if neither bike finishes that race on if both bikes don't finish that race on Sunday, it will be the first time since I believe it's Le Mans and Mugello in 2003 since they've had back-to-back non-scores with both bikes. Incredible statistic there. And to think how, as a 2-team manufacturer, we'll discount 2011 with Bautista, but what we're getting at here is that it's very much, there's a lot of opportunity, but if I was going to say 1 rider, 2 riders, I'll say 4 riders.
Oh my God.
Because it'll either be Dovi or Marquez, I think, right, for the win. Okay. And I think it'll be Rossi and Aleix Espargaro in behind one of them.
Okay. You narrowed it down to 4, folks. Well done. That is an improvement on previous attempts. Yeah. So
we're getting there.
Who do you think, if you're tuned in live, listening to us, and you've maybe got an opinion about maybe you know something about a rider this weekend? So maybe you know who's a bit of a Valencia specialist. Maybe you know more than Kiko.
Can I just jump in on you, Lester? Sorry to throw you under a bus here. There's some news coming about Jonas Folger. He isn't racing this weekend. His bike is in the hands of Michael van der Mark.
Oh, yeah?
I can tell you now that Jonas Folger has been diagnosed with something nucleus. I know that's not very much use to you all, but whereas before, what I'm getting
Where is it on the body?
I haven't got a clue.
Google it.
I will have a look. I will not reveal where I got the information from. It was online. I don't want to start giving everyone else some advertising. But
something nucleus.
I'm really sure on that. Yeah, where are we here?
Actually, it's probably not a good idea we Google this live in air, because it's probably going to come back as like cancer or something. As every medical condition that you ever Google is always cancer.
No, it's not. Jonas Folger does not have just 3 days to live. Jonas Folger has But Folger has been diagnosed with Gilbert syndrome. Now, that is a genetic ailment that preludes the liver from correctly processing. What? Sorry.
I think we can guess.
Billy Rubin, whatever that means.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Dr. Kiko.
No problem.
Okay. So, so he's...
Case of mononucleosis is the word I was looking for. It's basically shut down his body. That's why he couldn't ride. He had absolutely no energy. So that's just the latest update from...
We'll get well
Jonas
soon, anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah. What a stunning season he's had up till now. Just a massive shame he can't see it out, really. Really unfortunate. Yes,
and Van der Mark does finally get his chance in MotoGP this season.
Well, he had the ride at Malaysia. Don't forget, he did get flown out into Malaysia to do the Malaysian Grand Prix. However, he was 16th. But nonetheless, again, he was due to obviously be the sort of end of season replacement for. Yep.
Rossi, I suppose, but,
Yeah, if Rossi was so badly injured, but it turned out that Valentino Rossi, the doctors, cured himself. Original jokes.
They don't get better, folks.
No, they don't.
Anyway, tell me about Makar Yurchenko.
Right. Now, if you look back through the shows, you'll remember me saying that Kazakhstan might be having a little bit more influence into MotoGP because they're building a circuit just outside the ex-capital Almaty. Now, the circuit's called the Sokol circuit, and now Makar Yurchenko, although I believe he's Russian-born, takes Kazakhstani nationality. He has been dominating for a couple of seasons, really, in the little classes. He's not, as I say, dominating. He's been really progressing forward. He was in the CEV Championship for Alex Rinz's team, and he has been in the Red Bull Rookies this year. Now, he moves up to this CIP Moto3 team, which will run a KTM next year, not a Mahindra, alongside John McPhee. He is the first Kazakhstani rider ever to be in Moto Grand Prix as a brand. They're not in just Moto3. There's never been a Kazakhstani rider at all in motorcycle racing Grand Prix championships. I know he's not Kazakhstani born, but he takes Kazakhstani nationality, so he is Kazakhstani, and that's brilliant for the sport. More nationalities in. I actually remember writing a feature article about different countries' involvement in motorcycle racing. Where could we go next? What is the next country and why? And I do remember just a short couple of sentences really on Makar Yurchenko. Brilliant to see that we are getting not unusual nationalities, but different nationalities. Nationalities you wouldn't necessarily associate with motorcycle racing. Great to see. Can't go wrong. It opens a new market, and I hope in the future, if this so-called circuit is good and it is being upgraded, we can go there.
Could this be the start of potentially something, like you say, if it does open a new market with the circuit and with this guy coming in, and do you think it might pave the way for others, potentially? I don't know.
I'm not sure it'll pave the way for others from Kazakhstan, but it will open up opportunity, I think, in other countries that might have not thought about this before. Remember we was talking about the Asia Talent Cup entrants on last week's show. I will not go through who they all are again, but if you look on the Motorsport Radio page, we did put a screenshot of all the riders who have been selected through and whatnot. But if you actually go on the Dorna website and look at where all them countries, look at all the nationalities that applied and where all the riders came from who applied, you had places like Iran, Bangladesh, not necessarily third world countries or LEDC countries, just countries you wouldn't necessarily associate with MotoGP, and quite rightly so, because they've got no past in the sport as competitors, and neither of them countries that I know of have actually got a functioning race facility that MotoGP, World Superbikes, Formula One can actually go to. So I think we will see more countries get involved. I think we will see an opening in the market. We're already seeing it in the Far East and in the Southeast Asia part of the world, and also a little bit more with the Americas, because Eric Granado makes his return to the championship next year in 2018. And obviously we go to Argentina. There's a lot of rumours about maybe going to Chile. That was on the rumour mill a long time ago, but it'll be interesting to see if these things do play out. I don't think for 1 minute, though, there is one negative about Makar Yurchenko getting the ride. He has deserved it. He's been quality. It's not because he's a nationality of a country that's a bit different. It is purely based on talent, and it's great to see that Dorna have recognised that, and Dorna are pushing through the Dorna ranks.
Okay. There was also I received a provisional entry list earlier today from Kiko, and he got that from Dorna, I presume, with all the riders lovely and neatly aligned in a lovely, easily readable
Listen, ignore
list.
it. It's been on about it all the evening before we came on this show. Oh, who puts numbers down? Who does it in numerical order? You know, I thought, there's only one you captain. I was dropping down 10 of the things.
Thank you. Yes, well, while Kiko puts his flat cap away, I'll tell you that it was just a little bit confusing. That's all. I mean, if you're going to be sending out an entry list, obviously the way you do it, you send out an entry list to people with common sense. You do it by either rider and or team first, so that you can see who's in which team. For example, you don't do it by rider number and think, well, okay, he's in that team. Where's the other guy gone? Where's the thing? Oh, he's down there. Anyway, Kiko will tell us if there's any surprises on the provisional entry list. I don't think there is, though. Or there is, there? Kiko's turned his mic off. I don't know.
That's why you carried on talking when I was trying to talk over you. Sorry.
Unbelievable.
It's because of this. I still got my cough from about 3 weeks ago, from 3 shows ago, and I don't want to cough over you, especially when Lester's giving you important information about him lecturing Dorna. What I was saying just before I...
no more important than you talking about black puddings, though.
No, of course not. What I was going to say, I'll let Carmelo Ezboleta, the CEO of Dorna, know that you're thinking about him. But no, there is no... there is no surprise as much as we thought, really. All the deals have been done very early on across all of motorcycle racing, really, apart from World Superbikes and Supersport. We'll get onto that a little bit later. But no, a massive great deal. I personally wasn't aware that Makar Yurchenko was coming up. I didn't know that at all. Last year, there was quite a few surprises that were coming up. For me, Ayuma Sasaki, Nakarine Atarat Fuvapat. There was quite a lot of riders that I didn't expect to come into the series, but this year, apart from Makar Yurchenko, they're more or less we already knew anyway. So yeah, great to see a good, healthy grid across all 3 classes. Yeah.
There's not much else to say, I suppose. There's that. On to Moto 2. Now, and what's happened? Literally, I've been out of the loop with Moto 3 and Moto 2. I think my attention has been concentrating elsewhere. What's been going on? Anything?
Not a lot's been going on. It's confirmed that Thomas Luthi will not be at the Valencian Grand Prix, but of course we brought that breaking news to you last week. We don't have a lot of news really to talk about. Franco Morbidelli already has the championship. Second, though, I believe at the moment is Thomas Luthi, and he cannot be caught by Alex Marquez because Alex Marquez threw away his chance to do that when he crashed twice in the Malaysian Grand Prix. KTM are going to be the guys to watch out for this weekend. Miguel Oliveira and Brad Binder, what they have done, what KTM have done as a manufacturer in MotoGP and in Moto2, it's quite astounding. They have really thrown the kitchen sink and worktops in with the process and the effort they've gone to this year. They've really gone for it. And it's not too hard to imagine a third consecutive 1-2. That'd be amazing. They've never had 2 consecutive 1-2 finishes before. They could have 3 if they play the cards right. Brad Binder's coming stronger and stronger. And Miguel Oliveira, he won at this event 2 years ago in Moto3 for KTM. So, we're not discounting anyone. Mattia Pacini is obviously going to feature somewhere along the lines. And Francesco Bagnaia, what a stunning season he's had. I think he could be up there. Watch out for Stefano Manzi too. I keep raving about him, and I think he will live up to his name and his team status when we come to Valencia. But Franco Morbidelli, class act, had a great battle with Johan Zarco last season. I think if he can play his tyre life management right, like he didn't do last year, I think Franco Morbidelli has a great chance of Moto2 success and signing off 2017 with a win, signing off his Moto2 career with a win, because of course he goes to MotoGP on the Mark VDS Honda for 2018. He'll be testing that on the Monday and the Tuesday after the weekend.
Okay, and so it's all a bit World Superbikes when it comes to Moto2, i.e., yeah, it's just an end of season nothingness, I suppose.
Well, there's no need to insult it that much.
Ooh. Moto3?
Moto3. We have the championship already done. That was done back in Australia with Joan Mir. Joan Mir won the Malaysian Grand Prix. Quick statistic for you, there's not a lot to talk about Moto3, apart from if Joan Zarco wins, he will... Joan Mir. I've got Joan Zarco on the side of my screen here. Joan Mir, if Joan Mir wins, he will be the first rider ever since Valentino Rossi's 1997 campaign to level with Valentino Rossi's record of 11 race wins in the lightweight class season. Important feature here, though, there was less races back when Valentino Rossi was in the class, so there's more opportunity for Joan Mir, but nonetheless, he is absolutely diamond. He is the real McCoy. He is a pucker pie. Joan Mir has got what it takes. He is going to be in Moto2 next season. He is going to be up there, I think, from the mid-season onwards. He's going to take a little bit of time to work it all out, but if you're a quick rider, you can ride anything. Joan Mir is a quick rider, and I think within 3 years, he will be in MotoGP. I'm fairly certain.
Peter Backhurst has been on and said hello. Hi, Peter.
I must say to Peter, he supplies me with the British Superbike Supersport stock 1000 images. They are fantastic. If you need anything doing, get in touch with Peter. Really good guy, easy to work with, and fantastic photos. I've got to say, some brilliant photos. So just a quick 30-second plug there. I know you're watching, Peter, so get in touch with him. Fantastic images.
Yes, and hello as well, Peter. Yeah, the
yes, hello.
Motorsport Radio. Hello. Yeah, you can get in touch with us, incidentally, because we are most definitely live this evening. It's at M Sport Radio on Twitter. It's Motorsport Radio on Facebook. And Kiko's social media is...
Oh, my social media, if you're that bored and you do want to get in touch with someone who pretends they know what they're talking about, it's at MotoGP Kiko on Twitter, or it's Kiko Alexander Giles on Facebook. You can email me. I don't know if my email address is out there at all. You can also get in touch with me through Motorsport Radio. If you want to send me something, they will relay it back to me and I will respond to you personally. But it's a lot easier just to tweet or just to send me a message or comment or something. Of course, if you want to talk to me right now, give us a message down here in the comments section and let me know your thoughts, what we've talked about so far. Will it be Andrea Dovizioso who can pinch the title from Marc Marquez, or will Marc Marquez take his 6th World Championship at the age of just 24?
Indeed, that's what we want to know. We have a question that we want you to answer, because we've been made aware that a few people are asking, and we're asking for a friend, as to whether Barrier's appointment at Smith's for next year is we want to know how well that's going down with you, whether you have any thoughts or opinions on that. As you probably already can guess, Kiko does not have any thoughts or opinions on anything, so that's why we're asking you see. So let us know. Yes.
Yeah, we'll come on to that later, though. We are going to come on to the British Superbike side of things in a very short while.
Indeed, we will. Right. Indeed, yes. So, still to come, here on the Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio, we have a live interview with Ben Curry, the super fast, super sport guy. It is super sport, isn't it? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, that's good. Didn't even think about that one. He's coming up on the show in a few minutes' time, around 20, 30 minutes' time, so stay tuned for that. If you've got any big questions for him about his big future, then get us your questions and we will ask Ben. Or maybe you can jump on the phone or jump on Skype and you can ask him yourself. Who knows? New thing that we just made up there.
Right.
Apparently, Kiko did it the other day, and so why not? So Ben Curry, if you tuned in, hello. You're more than welcome to come on more regularly if you want. But yeah, he's coming up in a few moments. After that, we'll be talking about World Superbikes. Big news all over World Superbikes. Well, I say big, it's just news.
About big as World Superbike news gets.
Yeah, and we have like a sack full of news. Well,
we do. We really do have a massive, great deal of content to work our way through tonight. It's a lot.
Indeed. We'll also be taking your comments as well, and including any good and bad ones. We're trialling a new thing for visual radio listeners who will be tuned in via the YouTubes, the Twitterers, and the Facebooks live this Thursday evening. We'll probably be able to see a little screen with comments and such, which I probably shouldn't tell you that they're not quite screened. So, but shouldn't probably said that anyway. New thing. If it goes wrong, we'll blame Kiko. BSB news happening at the moment. Have we talked about everything? Have we got through all the MotoGP stuff?
I believe we have. There's, like I say, it's literally a MotoGP preview. There's not a lot of news. That was all done very early on this season.
It's a teaser.
It is. Just a quick one before we do go to a quick break, I believe, that's coming up very, very shortly. Marc Marquez has to be in the top 11 to win the MotoGP Championship, but more importantly, that's probably really likely to happen. Andrea Dovizioso must win. A second place, and even if Marquez crashes, is not good enough. Last piece of news, I don't know if he's watching. He might be, because he's coming on the show next week. Julian Ryder will be on, the BT Sport commentator. It is, and I can announce it because it was put on Twitter. We knew anyway. It is his last weekend commentating this weekend, BT Sport, and it really is. It's actually really, really sad, especially for me, because I look up to them kind of people. It's a very, very sad end to what has been an incredible era. Covered both the golden era of World Superbikes and the growth, and now the current golden era of MotoGP. Julian Ryder will be missed a great deal, I'm sure, by thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people in the UK and across the globe. He's been an ambassador to the sport and to give us great coverage.
Indeed, yes. News breaking, commentary news that we always like to keep abreast of, and he'll be thankfully. Hopefully here on this show this time next week as we enter the second season of the Superbike show. Amazingly, doesn't really seem like we've done more than a handful of shows all kind of year, but for various reasons. We'll get to any questions and stuff coming in just a moment. This is the Superbike show on Motorsport Radio. My name's Lester. Kiko is here.
Motorsport Radio, the Superbike show on Motorsport Radio.
Questions flooding in all the time. A question flooded in once from Peter Backhurst. He wants to know, Kiko, is there any news on Jenny Tinmouth? Because it was kind of rumoured that she might make a sort of a comeback mid-season in BSB, and then it sort of fizzled out a little bit. And what do we know?
I'm not sure about Jenny Tinmouth. I know she took the Supersport bike out for a little trial at Brands Hatch Grand Prix at the end of the season. I'm not sure what her plans do consist of. I will be keeping up to date with all the British Superbike gossip, and all the gossip that I've heard and can't repeat has not so far mentioned Jenny Tinmouth's name. Okay,
and Emma's been in touch. Hello, Emma. Thank you very much for tuning in live to the show. She says, do we think that Davi can pull it out of the bag regarding MotoGP? Will the pressure get too much for Marquez?
Thanks, Emma, for the question. Anything can happen. Valencia's one of them rounds where literally anything can happen. We saw in 2015, obviously, Valentino Rossi didn't win the championship and didn't win the race, but he put in that incredible effort from the back of the grid. So if you can pass at Valencia. It's difficult, but you can force it. Problem is, you can also force errors. The circuit is a really strange layout. It seems like half a second is like a second anywhere else around the world. It's a really weird way. You just don't feel like you feel close, but you don't feel like you're making up time on anyone. And if you make up 2 or 3 tenths, you're doing well. If Marquez is in a position early on in the race where he's been forced wide and out of the points or something like that, it may be a high-pressure situation. It may be someone else. It might be his accident. It might be someone else's accident taking him offline or out of the race. I'm not sure the pressure will be too much for Marquez, but this is motorcycle racing. Anything can happen. And as you will find out tomorrow in my written preview, Remember 2006?
Of course.
Leicester, Valentino Rossi. But for those of you that are not geeks like me and, watch that...
I'm too young to know what...
Watch that funny four-wheeled rubbish that people harp on about.
Yeah, all right. Don't push your luck.
Valentino Rossi went into Valencia 2006 with points advantage. Nicky Hayden came out, the late great Nicky Hayden came out and won the championship as Valentino Rossi crashed out of the race. A Ducati won that day too, Troy Bayliss. Yes.
Bear that in mind, folks. So yeah, on to BSB news, and we want to know basically regarding Barrier's appointment at if I'm just breaking that news to you, yeah, he's going to be doing a thing next year. And we want to know if you've got any opinions on it. If you do, then let us know, because we will read them out, and we will want to know other people's reaction to what you think, and some such and so forth. But yeah, BSB news. Kiko, what's going on?
There's a lot of things going on, and this is where the real news starts. We'll start with Honda. Jason O'Halloran and Dan Linfoot have decided they will stay. There was a lot of speculation about that changing. I know a couple of riders who were being thrown into the pick and mix for that ride, but it's the same lineup for the fourth consecutive year. Continuity is great for the team. Dan Linfoot and Jason O'Halloran both really good in the last part of the season, sorry. So if they can get that new Fireblade SB2 Honda singing at its highest note at the end of this season, there's got a lot of development work to be done through the winter. It can be very, very competitive. For 2018. Also, Peter Hickman, we kind of knew this as well. He's staying at Smith's BMW. We knew 2 weeks ago that Lee Jackson was going to leave that team. He's been replaced by ex-World Superbike BMW rider Sylvain Barrier. There's a lot of controversy over this.
Why?
Some people saying, and I can see why they're saying this, European riders really struggle to adapt to British circuits. We're not on about Assen, we're not on about really Donington Park or Silverstone. They're world used. But Brands Hatch is a bit quirky. Alton Park is very quirky. Cadwell Park's very unique. There's nothing like it. Knock Hill's totally at it. Resurfacing being done at Knock Hill, by the way, while I'm on that. But Sylvain Barrier, he's coming over to Britain. So people think that maybe that's not going to work because he's European, can't adapt to what we have over here. But you've got to remember, big names in British Superbikes, it is a credit to the sport for being so attractive. And it also, big riders like Sylvain Barrier will bring big money. So that's also good. There's investment. It opens up a new market. You've now got a couple of French riders. There may be more French interest. Maybe we'll go over to France. That was a rumour a couple of seasons ago. We'll have more TV coverage in France. There's a lot of things possibly going on. And this is what I'm saying back to the Moto3 thing with Kazakhstan coming in with Makoyachenko. You open up a new market as soon as you get more nationalities in or new nationalities in. So there's pluses and minuses on either side. As a journalist, I'm really happy. And as a fan, I'm actually really happy that Sylvain Barrier's come in to the series. It'll be interesting to see how he goes at Smith's BMW, though. Of course, he's never rode something like this before without traction. Excuse me.
I mean, he's not a complete novice, though, is he? Surely. I mean, I don't know that much about him, to be honest. But he's not going to come in and like wipe out the entire field, is he? He's not going to be like a complete idiot.
No, he's not going to park it in the barrier. Excuse the pun. But what I'm saying, what we're trying to say is, Sylvain Barrier has not come to the UK before and done amazing, if you know what I mean. You know, and European riders really struggle. We've seen with Gintoli this year. So it'll be interesting to see what Barrier can do. I think it'll be a dark horse. Davide Giuliano was a little bit, he didn't really want to leave World Superbikes, but Sylvain Barrier is coming into British Superbikes, but not coming from World Superbikes. So maybe mentally there's not that downgrade aspect that we had about 10 years ago with some riders, but Davide Giuliano definitely carried that mentality because he's been in European Championships and World Championships for a long time. Steve Buckingham, hopefully you're watching, Steve. Their announcement came out this week. Morello Kawasaki, I confirmed to you all about 3 months ago, I think, or maybe 2 months ago, at Cadwell Park. Danny Buchan definitely wasn't there. Obviously, the team and Fraser Rogers went their separate ways, so it was always going to be two brand new riders. Josh Elliott, we say brand new. Josh Elliott was at the team in 2015, dominated the championship, had a great battle with Alistair Seeley. Josh Elliott is their number 1 rider. And Sam Clark, the Australian who had a stunning Brands Hatch Grand Prix race in October at the last round of BSB, he makes up the second part of that team. And that, when I use the terms number 1 and number 2, Sam Clark really could be something very, very special this year. And I do not believe for one moment that there's going to be any favouritism in that team. I don't believe that Josh Elliott will walk off with it either, not necessarily away from the rest of the field, but I also do believe that Sam Clark could be a little bit of a menace to Josh. Josh ain't going to have it all his own way this season. I think Sam Clark could be something a little bit special. The IMR racing team in stock 1000s, they signed Chrissy Rouse and Jordan Gilbert, both of them leaving Mission Racing. That's really good. I've got to say, that's mega, mega news to support young British talent. Get it in, get it progressed through. It'll be very interesting to see what Chrissy Rouse can do. Second season on a BMW. Yes, it'll be set up a little bit differently, probably. The way the team operates will be a little bit different. But I think Chrissy Rouse can be something a bit special. And Jordan Gilbert comes up to the stock 1000s out to stock 6. Mission Racing are in talks with a few riders, and hopefully we'll have their team owner on the show in the coming weeks. I am making a phone call tomorrow. Dave Tyson confirmed via Twitter, the team owner of the MV Augusta team in British Supersport, that he will hopefully have an announcement by the end of the month. There may be a change there. I'm not so sure. There's a lot of rumours flying around, but nothing confirmed yet. We'll hope to find out that news for you. Maybe try and do it as an exclusive. If not, get that news out to you as soon as it comes to us. Big shout out to Jake Dixon, who's in Moto2 this weekend for the Dynavolt Intact GP team. He's in Valencia. What an end to the season. He had an amazing season, but just a really sad way to bow out of BSB 2017 when all the troubles hit at Brands with the crashing and the mechanicals and just really not in the mojo. 6th in the championship, but he'll be mega, mega happy to get an opportunity out in Valencia in sunny Spain. Sylvain Guintoli was widely tipped by myself as well to go to Puccetti Kawasaki. Now that offer seems to have been retracted. Manuel Puccetti is understood to have wanted Leon Haslam or Sylvain Guintoli, but that's not been the case. Sylvain Guintoli, it was rumoured after Jerez that he may not want to stay with that team for next year. He wasn't really riding in the top 5 consistently. But that ride has gone to Toprak Razgatlioglu, which I'll ask Lester to repeat in a moment for me. Toprak Razgatlioglu, the stock 1000 rider, he will be in the Superbike class next year for Manuel Puccetti's team. But it will be a sole outfit. There is no one else in that team. So Sylvain Guintoli, he may well look like he's staying with Bennett Suzuki. Question is there going to be room? There's some rumours saying that Bradley Ray and Richard Cooper have already got that ride well and truly sewn up. Well, is it true? Is it not? We will find out very, very soon. I'm sure of that. Where will Sylvain Guintoli go, though? Ask yourself that. Take it from me, this isn't official, but as a scenario, Sylvain Guintoli does not end up in World Superbikes. Where does he go? Work it out with the British Superbike teams that are left. The British Talent Cup finally released their release dates, which is brilliant.
Yeah, and they did exactly what I said they would do. Because you said, Kiko.
I'm dying to get it out there, so just go on, fire away.
It just seemed obvious that because they were doing the Talent Cup and I said, oh, they're going to be on the BSB package at some point doing something, and that didn't really seem likely because BSB didn't really have a sort of an official tie-in, an official link-up with them at the time. And then came this sort of strange sort of retweet from the official BSB Twitter thing, and that made me think, right, okay, so then it's pretty much confirmed, just because we've been trying to get official BSB to retweet like anything of ours, but it's not having it. But anyway, so yeah, sorry, go on. I was right, basically.
Yeah, it's all right. You just carry on ranting. We have a little bit more news to get to. The British Talent Cup, like we were saying, Donington Park, Snetterton, and Assen will be the British Superbike rounds. They will be attending, so that's even more racing for what is already guaranteed absolute bargain prices. I've got to say, £35 for so many hours of racing. It actually works out to like £1.23 an hour. That's how much you charge across the weekend. As we alluded to earlier, Knock Hill looks like that's going to a new track surface. Have a look on the Twitter page of Knock Hill. There's a video there for you. That comes after a lot of complaints that I was not part of making a complaint, but part of reporting about Knock Hill not really being to the riders' liking. It needed a resurfacing, and they're getting one. So brilliant stuff there from Knock Hill. Very, very important to keep it on the calendar with Knock Hill in Scotland, because there's a massive contingency of Scottish fans. Neil Mackenzie is their 3-time champion, of course. Massive Scottish names in the past. Double champion Steve Islop, Stuart Easton in the Supersports and a bit in the Superbikes. Massive, massive names have come out of Scotland, so it's only right that we go there. But the track needed upgrading. The track's getting an upgrade. Now, I know someone who is watching this show or listening to it.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot say who this is, but I have a source called Secret Squirrel, and I'm going to turn this into like a little feature, I think, every week. I'm going to try and get some gossip for you, and I'm going to call it
It's only probably only one of two people, though. Because you mention them on the show every single time.
No. It's not. This is some person I've not mentioned before. I'm going to call it Secret Squirrel's 60-second news flash. And that is that Michael Dunlop is apparently going to Bournemouth Kawasaki for the roads next season, and that James Hillier, who was their rider for next season, is going to go to Sean Muir's team. But this is a very strange scenario for me. I'm not 100% sure about it, but apparently it's Milwaukee BMW, but Milwaukee and Sean Muir's team run Aprilias. So there's going to be a lot more digging done about that one, but that is how I understand it at the moment. Michael Dunlop has done a deal with Bournemouth Kawasaki. He's going to go and do the roads, and James Hillier is going to be on a Milwaukee BMW, which is really confusing for me. But that's the rumour mill at the moment. Them last two bits, I've been told they are absolute solid news, but I can't say who's told me. But again, I got to treat that as a rumour, I think, because things. I'm not sure. Things don't always come out like that. That doesn't really add up. 2 and 2 does not always equal 7, and I think that's one of them. Yeah,
sometimes you have got to be a little bit careful when you're being told something, knowing that the person who's telling you knows you're a journalist and is likely to go and tell the world. And
funny though, I've had 2 people come up to me about that Michael Dunlop. One of them is where I work. Because the guy who works...
Where do you work?
What?
Where do you work?
I can't tell you that. I'm not here. There are other restaurants available from the one I work. No, I'm
restaurant, okay.
It's the Hostess restaurant, but someone I know also told me there, who's a chef, he follows bikes massively, that Michael Dunlop's going there too. So if he knows, then... And I've been told by someone else within the British Superbike paddock...
You heard it here first. The chef at Kiko's restaurant said...
Yeah.
And who else would know better?
Well, this is it. But it's not just that. Obviously, there are other people in the paddock, credible sources, that have not actually let me down before.
Okay.
So, like we say, treat it as speculation, but you did hear it here first. Michael Dunlop maybe to Bournemouth Kawasaki?
Maybe. We should also thank as well Simon Hall for his intel, midweek intel. He was doing some spying down at Brands Hatch midweek, I think, or maybe it might have been yesterday. And regular listener to the show, visual radio listener.
Yeah.
And I believe he might be tuned in as well right now. So hello, anyway, Simon.
Yeah. Evening. Every comment is welcome, of course. We try and get everything done and everything through, but sometimes my messages at the moment are going mental, so I keep looking down at my phone, Twitter, and my personal messages on Facebook. I can't get them all out. I'm really sorry. I have to apologise for that. But we try and get through as many.
On Tinder, to be honest, he's more. That's what it is.
Well, I heard you was on Grindr, Lester.
You.
So, yeah, it's all right. You set them up. I'll knock them down for you. Not a problem.
Yeah, other apps are available.
Yeah.
So yeah, back to BSB.
Yes. Have we had any comments coming about Sylvain Barrier?
I haven't seen any, to be honest. Right. But like you, I've just been sort of scrolling around and flicking through, and just the general temperature of Barrier's appointment. We'll call him Barry, shall we?
You call him Barry, eh?
Barry.
Well, I
don't think that many people are that passionate. I mean, there's been a couple of comments that I've seen, not during this show, but probably on your Superbike group, just to say, well, why don't they get someone who's, British, that sort of thing.
Well, this is what I'm going to read out to you now on the MC Insurance Really Superbike group, not the official page, nothing to do with that. I am the admin, and I posted the news, and I got a lot of, not negative comments, but mixed comments, a lot of different opinions. So, Joan Williams, we definitely need more foreigners in the British Superbike Championship. Steve Sargent, can't agree. Keogh is a BSP legend, for example. This is the top domestic championship in the world, and as such will always attract interest outside of Britain. I must add, the Joan Williams comment, I believe, was meant to be taken with humour. We definitely need more foreigners, with a capital F, in the British, all caps lock, Superbike Championship. Chris Jones, nope, foreign riders bring much needed sponsorship and profile to the sport. Now, that's a very interesting point. Davide Giuliano, but with him for a short time, a lot of people from probably Italy looking in to see how he's going. What for a long time was the only Italian really doing anything in.
Was he Italian? I thought it was French.
No, definitely. Leicester. Danny Pederick. The fact that foreign riders want to race in BSP is irrelevant. The fact that some of the world's best riders want to race in the UK, albeit on their way back down from the world stage, is testimony to how good BSP is. But it's also aids the young British riders to raise their game on the way up. Now, I spoke to Josh Brooks at round 1 of the season this year, and he said to me that he feels that if he was to win the championship, which we know he didn't, but if he was, it'd probably be one of his hardest fought, because the depth is so deep of world quality riders. There's a lot of people against that because it stops them progressing through, which is a bit of it's a hard one, because obviously young rich talent, but if you are so young and you are good, you'll probably get noticed anyway. So yeah, lots of mixed opinions, I've got to say. Get your thoughts in. We like these kind of things. It's down to you, the fans, at the end of the day. How many people turn up to a BSB round? Are you going to stop going just because Barry is there? I very much doubt it. But what do you think? Who do you think would have been a better solution at Smith's BMW for number 2 ride? Of course, Lee Jackson was usurped out of that seat.
If you do have any comments, good or bad, and you're more than welcome to share them with us. Can't guarantee they'll all be read out.
No.
But probably some of the... go on, Kiko.
Yeah. Yep, Simon Hall. Kiko blades up from 600 stocks to stock thousands. Give the man a shout out. Yes, I must do, because the blades are always doing competitions. And it's brilliant to see that, okay, they might not be the massive high-profile leading team in the paddock, but it's great to see that you get that communal feeling of everyone wants it to do well anyway. It doesn't matter what class you're in, how good you are, how many riders you're on, or how big a brand you are. Everyone wants British Superbikes to do well. So it's great to see that another team is going up or coming down for some other teams into Stock 1000, but this team's going up, Blades Racing, because that Stock 1000 Championship, I'd argue, is probably the most competitive in Europe right now. And when I say that, I really mean it. Danny Buchan's left, but we've got Joshy Elliott in, back on competitive machinery this year. Coming up, Chrissy Rouse, of course, as well, is staying. Jordan Gilbert steps up. He had a great 2017 on the Stock 6 bike. There's a lot of movement going on, and that's great. It's a brilliant championship, and I'd argue probably one of the best in Europe. I really mean that. Probably the most competitive in the world. The depth of talent is ridiculous.
There was one of the questions we were sort of like thinking about what to ask, really. Well, what you think maybe about Linfoot and O'Halloran? No change at Honda, but it's no change. It's obviously Thanks a lot. Obviously, don't want to rock the boat there, do they? For that, so it's no controversy there. I think it's probably going to be a good thing for them, if anything, or just so that they can keep that consistency there. Your thoughts on that, Kiko?
Yeah, brilliant to see continuity, and it does show loyalty. Honda aren't the manufacturer that just throw riders away anyway. Brilliant to see that they're giving Jason O'Halloran and Dan Linfoot another chance. That SV2 is starting to come really, really good now, the new Fireblade. And if they can get it, they got it on song, on point, on fleek at the end of last season. We can have that from the get-go in 2018. I spoke to Jason O'Halloran mid-season, and he said the reason that they took so long to get going was purely because the test at Donington Park was wet. They got the bike late, so they missed the test anyway. So they actually spent the first 2 rounds on about, trying to sort out bike setting. It was one of them, really, that was annoying because they had to set the bike up to be able to race, but they had to set the bike up in the races. So, it's a tricky one.
Well, if you have any passionate comments or thoughts about Linfoot and O'Halloran, again, do throw them our way. We will. I'll probably just read them out, to be honest. Yeah, that. So yeah, not much else to. Is there any other lingering BSB news or rumor hot off the rumor mill? Perhaps anything else that we could probably want to know? So you've muted his mic again, he's probably just like doing the thing where he's like.
Apologies. Again, I can't make up whether this is on or off, but honestly, we've got to be really quick because we're going to get Ben Curry on the line in a moment, but there is a lot of news surrounding British Superbikes for next year. There's a lot of news about some teams maybe coming back into the championship from abroad and from far away, but we can't confirm who, we can't say who for a start. There's a lot of backroom stuff, but I promise you, as soon as I'm allowed to say things, you will be told things.
Indeed. Yes, and a big hello to everybody who is already tuned in live online, all 1,500 people as well. Wow, incredible, really. Thank you for everybody who has shared this live stream to all the various places on your personal Facebook streams and Twitter feeds. We do incidentally stream all our shows live on, what is it called, Periscope, Twitter? It's at M Sport Radio as well, so with their, plus as well, a comment that came in, that flooded in just a bit earlier from Tony Shorthouse. Hello, Tony. Thank you for tuning in. He asks, is there an MP3 podcast of the show? Well, yes, there is, Tony. We'll tell you exactly how, when, and where you can grab it and download it in just a moment. Because I'll tell you now, actually. Just before we get Ben on the phone, you can go to our website. It's motorsport.radio, or you can just search the Superbike Show or just Motorsport Radio on your usual podcast provider place. It's definitely on our website anyway, the Superbike Show. And this is Lester, and Kiko Alexander Giles is here. And it is time now, thankfully, to bring in our first guest for this evening, and hopefully he's on the line right now. Hello, good evening, Ben Curry.
Hello, how you going? Yes, I'm on the line. Everything sounds pretty good so far.
Excellent, you can hear us well. Fantastic to have you on the show, Ben. You're live on Motorsport Radio. Kiko is here with us, and Kiko once again has a stack full of questions for you, Ben.
Yeah, I believe so. I've been tuning in for a little bit. He just seems like a man full of knowledge in the BSB paddock, that's for sure.
He's full of something, yeah.
We try. But anyway, let's get on with it anyway. Brilliant to have you on the show, Ben. What an end to the season. But before we get on to 2017, you being Australian, you've obviously had to get over to the United Kingdom. How did all that come around? How did you come and end up on British soil? What was the process to get you here?
It was probably a heap of different key factors that played a part in it. Obviously, I started racing motocross like a lot of people did before their road racing career, and I sort of made the jump over to road racing in Australia at sort of club level. You know, just really low level of like racing in Australia. It wasn't nothing serious. It was just purely a bit of fun. And one thing led to another. We started getting serious about it and wanted to make the move into the Australian Championship for the following year. But we sort of just decided against that because I was showing, you know, a fair bit of promise from, you know, people telling me good things and stuff like this, and basically, you know, got pushed into making the jump overseas to come over here into the British Championship that, to be honest with you, I knew nothing about. I probably raced road bikes for 6 months. Previously to that, I'd not even watched it on TV. I wasn't interested at all in the slightest. I had my mindset on being a professional motocross rider, which arguably probably wasn't going to happen at the time. Probably just wasn't good enough. It was as simple as that. And then I just started, taking steps forward on the road bikes and just fell in love with it. And then I jumped straight overseas over here into the BSB paddock and basically learned how to ride a motorbike for the first time, really, and properly at a high level of racing. I can't even remember what year it was. Felt like forever now. I think this is, I'm going into my 5th season next year, so I've completed 4 seasons of racing. So 4 years ago was sort of my first, taste of racing road bike 600s, at a high level.
So you came over from motocross. What traits did you learn in motocross that might be transferable to roads? Is there anything that you can relate that you picked up in motocross and you still use now a little while, or not so much?
I think at the start it helps a lot at the start because, it's hard to explain, but I think it would be more so the fact that when you ride motocross, you come over to road racing, you think, wow, this is quite easy. It's not easy by all means. It's so far from easy. It's unbelievable. Once you get to sort of the level that I'm at now, you realize how hard it is. But initially, that first sort of bite into road racing, you think, oh, this is easy. And you fall in love with it, not because it's easy, but because just how much you can sort of, make that jump from motocross to road racing and really go for it. And then, just one thing led to another. The more and more confidence you get, and when you think you're good, when you're not actually that good, but you actually think you're really good, it just makes you fall in love with the sport.
Absolutely. And when you came over to Britain, did you expect it to be as hard as it's been? Because British Supersport's been so stacked full of talent for so many years now. Did you expect it to be a little bit easier than what it has been for you? I don't know if I would have thought it would be easy, but I was led to believe purely from my own, by myself, not told by anyone else, but I was led to believe that, just purely by my own mind thinking this, that I would get to grips with it real quick and I'd probably race at the front and I would start winning races because at the end of the day, that's why I come over. So I thought, yeah, no problem. I should be able to. I came over and it was an absolute disaster. I come over and, the team, everything wasn't, we rushed into it, to be honest with you, and everything fell apart. Everything completely that could have gone wrong went wrong. After the first round, to be honest with you, I thought about coming home. My mum, my dad were like, yeah, that's it, finished. Like, we're not doing that again. That was a silly mistake. 17 years old, diving straight overseas to, getting dropped off here by my dad, saying good luck on your way, mate. All the best. We'll be back home working our asses off so we can pay the bills for you. And I just thought, it sort of just dawned on me what was happening. And yeah, like I said, it couldn't have gone more wrong. And, I was sitting on the side of the track at Brands Hatch it was the first round in, I think it was 2013, sitting in the grandstand. I hadn't even qualified for the race for a number of reasons. I felt like I was good enough to qualify for the race at that particular time. However, I didn't qualify for a number of reasons that I won't get into. But I sat there watching it and I thought,
I can do this. I'm looking at these guys, and don't get me wrong, this is crazy compared to what I've ever experienced, but I can do this. And so I didn't lose that belief once we sort of kind of decided that we were going to come home and leave the UK and probably just sack that idea off completely. I believed that I could do it. So I started making contact with people. You know, I was on my last legs. The team had already gone home. I was there at Brands Hatch with, you know, not even a place to stay at the time. You know, starting to make contact with a few of the Aussie guys that I kind of knew at the time that kind of really didn't know. And then one thing led to another. I ended up getting an opportunity for a ride, and that was the base for the rest of the year. Okay, it wasn't fantastic. It wasn't the ideal situation for me for my first year of racing, but it got me into the scene. It got me into the BSB. It got me to learn all the tracks, and it gave me experience for the following year to get a great opportunity with a great guy, Sean Rose at Motorbreakers.
A team that's no longer in the paddock. And you mentioned there that you almost gave up, so to speak. How do you think your life would be now without motorcycle racing? Because to a lot of people, and including me just then, I didn't know about all of that. So to people like me and people at home listening, they probably just see you as the Supersport 600 rider, ex-Stock 6 runner-up. But that's not been the case. So where would you have seen yourself had you decided there and then, this is it, no more motorcycle racing in the UK for me?
I couldn't tell you really, to be honest, because I can't. At this point in time, I'm sitting here in the lounge room of where I live, and I can't actually picture anything other than what I'm doing right now. And that's just purely for the reason is because I'm so focused on trying to become the best that I can't actually vision anything else other than what I'm doing now. So, but you know, if I'd have to guess, I would probably go home. I would probably end up racing over in Australia, racing the Australian Championship and trying to win Australian Championships. At the end of the day, whatever I'm trying to do, I'm trying to win. So I'd probably go over there and, you know, sort of learn again over there and try and do that.
You mentioned you'd probably be in Australian racing. We've just had a question in from Peter Backhurst. Why is it Australia keeps producing top-class riders like yourself, and it's done it in the past as well, Gobert, Corsa, Bayliss, all of the names, Casey Stoner, of course. What is it in Australian culture that makes you guys so good and prominent?
I wish I knew, because if I knew, I'd probably be a rich man, because I would just breed talent over there and make loads of money off them. But I think that it's got a number of things, really. I think a lot of it's got to do with opportunity over in Australia. Like where I live at home, I live on 20 acres of land. You know, I had a motocross track when I was racing motocross. We built a supercross track when I was taking it really seriously. So I had all those facilities on my back doorstep. I could ride it till 9 o'clock at night riding a motorbike. You know, the only person we would pee off is the next door neighbour with noise, but he would get over it over time because we were really close with him, you know. So there's that opportunity out there. We've got lots of land. We've got lots of space. There's all that sort of stuff. I guess we can, gain skill from a very young age. Now, I don't really know how it works over here. I'm sure there is facilities and stuff like that for that over there. That's just purely my opinion, like a guess that might be a case. And maybe just also how Australians work with mindset. Australia is so sports orientated. It's unbelievable. It's drummed into us from such a young age at school that, it's all about sport, all about football, all about cricket, all about all these different sports. It's our culture over there. I could speak for a lot of people. It's not our culture. It's a massive part of our culture, sport in general. So I think that competitive mindset is in the blood, really. And if you've got a liking to motorbikes, there's so much opportunity for you to do it over there. So I guess that's where it could come from. It's hard to really tell. I'm not 100% sure, but that's probably just my interpretation on it and my opinion on it all.
Okay, brilliant answer that to a question that I hadn't actually planned. So, while we're on the Australian, I was going to leave this question until later, but while we're on the Australian Superbike Championship, is it as healthy as it could be? Because I spoke to Jason O'Halloran, like I was saying earlier in the show, mid-season, and he says it is good, the factories are there, it just needs more exposure. But then I spoke to Josh Brooks, and he just said the competition just isn't there. What's your opinion on Australian Superbike racing as it is now, and also its future?
I don't follow it like seriously close. Purely for the reason is because obviously I'm focused on things over here. But from an outsider, it's really hard to understand why it's not succeeding like BSB. I think this year, from what I could see, it was a very healthy championship. The Australian Superbike Championship was super healthy. You've got the likes of Josh Waters, obviously Australian Superbike champion this year. And we've got a number of other riders all on factory bikes. So you've got factory Suzuki, you've got factory Honda, you've got factory Yamaha, and then you've got Kawasaki really backing riders over there as well. So there's a good, what would you call it, like sort of a wealth of manufacturers coming together to compete. Yep. The depth is probably not there, purely for the reason of costs. I mean, it takes sometimes like 20 odd hours to drive from one circuit to another circuit. So that's how far apart tracks are in Australia. It's like traveling to the other side of Europe. It's basically, a racing in and amongst Europe. So I guess the depth isn't there purely for the reason of travel costs, all those different factors. It's not a cheap sport, let's face it. Everyone that's a part of the sport knows that it's not a cheap sport. And tyres cost money, bikes cost money, crashing bikes. But then when you chuck that travel aspect into it, I think that's the only reason why the depth's not there. But the talent's there. 100% the talent is there. There's young kids going everywhere into Europe that you guys wouldn't know of, that a lot of people wouldn't know of, that are going into Asia to race. There's a big scene in Asia. There's young kids going in there and doing really, really well. So that just shows that there is talent. It's just how much talent there is. I don't know how much that would be to compare to like something like the BSB where there's endless amount of riders. So I guess that might be a big part of it, really.
Okay, because you get the Australians that have gone into the World Super Sports. There's quite a few there. There's obviously you've got Jack Miller in Grand Prix, and you've got Remy Gardner. So the Australians are there, and there's yourself in British Super Sport. You've got Josh Brooks, Jason O'Halloran in Superbikes, so on. So there's definitely there. So maybe it's just a question of exposure. But to the viewers listening in and whatnot, get your thoughts down here, and we'll try and get them out before the end of this interview. On to you now, Ben. We'll go on to you now because all my other questions kind of link in. 2017, what an incredible end to the year. 3 race wins on the bounce. What an end to the season. We'll come to the start of the season in a moment, but talk about them final few rounds for us.
It was just a massive turnaround, really, for myself and the team working together. It just something clicked. It's a number of things that I could get into and bore you about all day long, and I've probably said it in loads of different other interviews as well, but it happened for me, and I got the confidence, and I believe I'm good enough, and that's what you need to have. You need to have belief, and I believe that I'm good enough now, and I can win races, and I think that was a major thing. Every time I was going to the grid, I looked around me, and I knew that I could beat those guys. Now, don't get me wrong, it wasn't going to be easy, and, it wasn't easy. I didn't win every race at the end of the season, but I was there more or less every race. As soon as the rain come down, it was a matter of thinking about how much am I actually going to win by at one stage. I was that confident in the rain, and then I tried to just transfer that into the dry, and, I did transfer that into the dry. After my 3 race wins on the bounce, I managed to, obviously Assen was the first dry race. It was beautiful sunshine after my 3 race wins on the bounce. Should have been 4 race wins, but I choked on that one. And I took off and, I felt so comfortable. I was out in front on the last lap. I was leading. and then obviously come together with Keith, which is another story. But then after that, I kept it going. Where did we go after? We obviously went to Brands Hatch. Could have quite easily won that race, got second in that race, and then got a fourth in the last race, which, the first place was not even half a second in front of me. So it was that close, I could have quite easily won. I had a chance to win all those last races of the season. So it was just confidence. It was a bit of momentum, all key things really in bike racing that played a part in it.
It's very easy for some people to forget that, you had a great end to the season, but the start of the season was a little bit difficult. Now, we spoke on the phone yesterday, and it was a bit of a tough end to 2016 on the Craig Fitzpatrick run Yamaha. So did that kind of lead into 2017 a little bit? Did you need to kind of get yourself back up to speed to get to the top of your game again?
Yeah, for sure. I think it was the start of 2016. Come into the first round as a rookie, no expectations at all, no pressure whatsoever, and I qualified second at Silverstone, and I got Andy Reid in front of me, which is a guy I've watched race for however many years, thinking, yeah, wow, he's amazing. I'm second to him. I've got, the likes of James Westmoreland. I've watched race in a British Superbike showdown. I've, all these guys around me, and I'm thinking, this is pretty ridiculous. And I got super excited, and I took off on that race, and all I wanted to do was get into the lead because I wanted to prove to everyone I was good. And the first lap, I chucked it away in a massive, massive crash and destroyed the bike. And then we, pick ourselves up from that, and I come to the next round, and I dislocate my AC joint in a massive high side. Again, I think I was second place at the time. I had I broke some ribs. I did my shoulder, and I was pretty banged up and like a little bit scarred from it all. I think that was round 3, Alton Park. I can't remember exactly how it went anyway. It doesn't matter. I banged myself up, and, all the rest of that year, that was playing on my mind, my actual, my body, what do you call it, like health was not good. I wasn't training properly. My mind had gone. Then the relationship with the team had gone. Everything just fell apart. Financially, everything was just not good. I wasn't in a good place. And then I got a new lease of life coming into this season with GearLink. Sort of, in different circumstances I was at the start of this year, in a whole heap of areas. But I sort of brought across a little bit of a negative vibe. It's in the back. It was never forgotten about over the preseason. Training hard, which I thought was hard, which wasn't hard enough. I come to round 1, very first session of the year, top the first session. Thought, here we go. This is what we want. Qualified 3rd or 4th or whatever it was, and was battling for the lead for most of the race. Then got arm pump and sort of fade back a couple of places and finished on the podium for the first race, which I thought was fantastic. But everyone sort of developed and made steps, and I sort of stayed in the one spot and didn't really develop because really I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to still race at that level. I came into the Supersport as a rookie, banged myself up trying too hard, and I still wasn't ready mentally. And once I sort of overcome that and overcome the fact that, stop over trying, stop, beating yourself up when you're not first place and all these things, that's sort of when it made the change in that halfway point. But before that, it was just negativity and all different things that were just playing a part. Once I got through that, it was easy. Racing was easy. I was going to the track with a smile on my face. I was coming away from the track with a smile on my face. Everything was great. So that's basically how it was. That 2016 season scarred me in a lot of ways that I've only got myself to blame, to be honest with you. And that has given me a wealth of experience to race for championships, in these latter years.
Yeah, but you've enjoyed your racing, and like we say, you made that step halfway through the year. you started coming really, really good, more prominent, definitely up the sharp end, if not in that fourth place battle. And then you got on the podium, then you started winning, and all of a sudden, third in the championship, not all of a sudden, but third in the championship. And you kind of come out of not nowhere, but you'd shown us what you demonstrated was in the first few races of 2016. Because whilst it was a difficult season, you know, you beat yourself up with injuries, I think, was it the second round of the season or third round of the season? But you did come back from injury and win your first race and knock hill. So the talent that we saw back then was always on display. How has the Kawasaki been for you to ride? Because obviously you've been on the Yamaha, but what was the main characteristic of the Kawasaki that you found a little bit different to what you'd already learned?
Yeah, it is quite a bit different. Different riders have different opinions on the Yamaha and the Kawasaki, which are, you know, the two sort of main machine chosen by people in the Supersport class, 600, all 600 racing. You know, they've both got their strong points. It took me a little bit to adjust to that. Obviously, my teammate Andy Irwin he's been riding one his whole career. He knew what he needed to do, and I needed to learn off that. I needed to learn different things because I rode it in a way that probably doesn't work. You're probably going to have a lot of crashes the way I was riding it, and I sort of just had to be a little bit more clever with the way that I set the bike up. So for half the year, I was guessing a lot with what I thought the right direction was. The team had worked with lots of different riders in the past where you know, they all different riding styles, and it took me a while to believe in that, what needed to be done. Once I got that belief in it, it was like riding. You know, I still remember that stock 600 year I finished runners up, and I was just on rails. I just absolutely could do anything I wanted to do, and I'm sure there's lots of riders that have been in that position in their career at some point. When you can do that, when you can do whatever you want on a motorbike, it's a fantastic feeling. And by the end of the year, you know, the Kawasaki at the start, it wasn't like that. I had to work a lot harder. But towards the middle of the year, once we've dialed that setup in that how I wanted it, I could ride it how I wanted to ride it, and it felt like my bike. So that's just going to be a major, you know, it's just a major thing moving forward. You know, and you know, this year, the last year, you know, each race that went on, I gained a little bit more experience, and it just felt a little bit. You know, I'm sort of just rambling on about how my confidence was, but it's hard to really tell you the difference on the bikes. You know, obviously the Yamaha likes it on the front end, and the Kawasaki steers a little bit more from the rear end. You know, everyone's got different opinions, but purely, to be honest with you, mate, it was just down to confidence in the end that it felt like my bike, and that's why I was able to succeed on it.
We say that the sport is all about confidence, and one aspect of the confidence, especially towards the end of the season, would have been getting geared in Kawasaki's first win of the season, because it was obviously well documented Andy Irwin hadn't won one. Did beating your teammate to the first win for the team also give you that extra bit of confidence as well?
Yeah, it's hard really, because Andrew was knocking on the door of a win for way before me, and he just never seemed to be able to get it. So to rock up after a slump of form and turn up and win by, I think it was like 10 seconds, 11 seconds, and get the team's first win. And he was second again, which was like his something like 8th time second place for the season. It must have been so hard for him. And, you know, it didn't really, you know, give me a boost of like, you know, confidence to, you know, I bet him I got the first win for the team, blah, blah, blah. It almost didn't come as a surprise as how it should have been, because the race was wet. The race before that, I'd checked out by 10 seconds, and I managed to screw it up. But the very next race was wet again, and I kind of thought, well, I should win this one. I've learned from my mistake, and that's what happened. I checked out by 10 seconds, so it didn't really hit me like a surprise win, if that makes sense, which it should have been, because it was the first win for the team. So it didn't just fill me with I'm going to be unstoppable now. I've beaten my teammate that's been trying to win all year and all that sort of stuff. It was kind of expected because it was wet. The team sort of thought, right, come on, now is our time to get this win that we should have had last race. So I guess, it definitely got that ball rolling for sure. I started building major confidence from that, but momentum, should I say? But it wasn't like a win that was come by surprise and then just flipped the switch. I actually kind of expected to win it, and I had that expectations on my shoulders.
I was just about to say, it's almost like you knew it was going to come, and after you nearly done it, it was going to come within the next few races. Being in Supersport this year, there's been a very divided opinion down the middle about whether the Moto2 bike should be allowed in, and all these kind of discussions have gone on. Some riders are for it, some are against it. What's your thoughts about it without upsetting loads and loads of people? What would you make of your season as a Supersport rider, but having to contend with a non-point scoring Moto2 bike?
Yeah, I guess this is quite a common question. It's a common thing that comes up after most races. If the Moto2 was on the podium, it was an uproar from many different parties, fans, all sorts of things in the social media, loads of different stuff. I guess I just sit on the fence a little bit because I've expressed my opinions once before. Didn't really work out for me well. It wasn't a bad opinion. It was purely just sort of like a question about it. I questioned it. I guess you've got to think you've got a Moto2 in amongst 600 Supersport bikes, completely different bike. It's the only one. Sometimes there was another one. So it wasn't a second make championship as such. You see like Moto3 and 125, or not Moto3, 125. Now it's Moto3 and stock Moto3 or whatever it is. There's two classes running in conjunction. So it's not really that. It's, I believe, I'm not like I said, I'm not really clued up on it all because I try not to worry about it. But I believe it's a test project. So for me, racing for a championship, a British Supersport championship, and you're racing with 5 guys, which then becomes 6 guys because the pilot that was on the bike is a class rider, is a British, I believe he's a British Supersport champion. He knows what he needs to do to win races. So it then becomes 6, but actually it's 5. So when you're racing at the front, trying to win a race, and say, for instance, you're second place and Moto2's third, the Moto2 comes past you and splits you and first place apart, going on to the last lap, say, for instance, and you can't get to first place now. You have to now worry about passing a motorbike that's not scoring points. From a racer's point of view, which is purely just a racer's point of view, I'm not talking from a point of view as a promoter or as in a future of the sport. I'm purely being selfish and talking about the current situation, and as a racing point of view, I hated it. And that's purely who wouldn't hate it? Who wouldn't sit there and like a Moto2 diving up the inside of you, which is completely in his own right. He's a worthy rider that deserves to be on podiums. He's a good enough rider for that. So, if he's been given that opportunity, he's going to take that opportunity. However, I don't agree with it, purely from my point of view, because I'm trying to win a British Supersport Championship, which has to be understood. And that is no negative attack towards the promoters, towards the people developing the Moto2. If that's what they decide that they're going to do, then we all have to get on with it. Everyone's in the same boat. Everyone has to deal with it. So if it goes against my favour in a certain scenario, then it goes against my favour at that time. It could go against someone else's favour in another time. So whatever they choose moving forward, for me, I would prefer it. To be honest with you, I actually don't know what alternative there is. I haven't thought about it. I haven't sat there and pondered over it and thought, they should do this, they should do that, because I don't know. So, for me to kind of say that I disagree with it is wrong also, because I don't know a solution that's going to fix it. So, but for me in a race scenario, I don't like it. It's annoying, frustrating sometimes, but it is what it is.
Would it be fair to say that it has been an interference of some description, though, whether it be to you or to other riders?
What's that? Sorry, I didn't quite hear that.
Would it be fair to say that it's an interference, the Moto2 bike, in either with you or with other riders? Because we've heard complaints from
that's basically what I'm saying. In some cases, it has interfered in races. It's interfered in multiple riders' races. But what I'm trying to say is that that is what's happening. That's what's happening in the sport. That's what's happening in British Supersport. So we have to deal with that. But he's not scoring. So my opinion on it is that I don't like it purely as a selfish point of view. I'm not thinking from a point of view of development, the future of the sport. I'm only thinking about now. So people are going to have loads of different other opinions, which is completely fine, and I'm happy for that to happen. And I don't want to start a war with people about what's right and what's wrong, because I don't know what's right and what's wrong. Just for me, in the current situation or the previous situation of this season, I would have loved nothing more for that Moto2 to just stay out of the way. But it is what it is. It's the same for everyone. So, you've just got to build a bridge and get over it and, racing. Because that's what we did. We ended up just racing, and there was no malice, after a race saying, get out of my way, you idiot, or anything like that. It was shake hands, good race, mate, well done, and move on.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to come to you for the final question I have, because we have quite a few questions from fans to put to you. So just a summary then of your 2018 plans. What can we expect Ben Curry to be on, and in what class? Have we got any updates of where you are in negotiations with 2018's prep? It's in, negotiations are in full swing at the moment. If they weren't, I'd be in a bit of trouble, but, it's hard to say at the moment. I'm not in really a position to really say what's happening, because I don't 100% know yet. As soon as I know, it will be getting released. But, I'm working closely with, obviously, Gearlink, being really looking after me this season and really, bringing me forward. I want to stay loyal to them guys, and I want to, do battle with them next year and try and win a championship and win a Supersport championship. But, we're getting closer to knowing, what's happening. But this process doesn't just happen overnight, especially in the situation that I am in financially. All these different scenarios that are a big part of, the racing these days. You can't just dive straight into a contract and then go into next season this early. But I have done that in the past. I've jumped into contracts and rushed into contracts and stuff like that. And, I've definitely not regretted any contracts, but I've dived into contracts early and been set in stone there. So this year, we're just going to take our time. Gearlink are happy. We're talking with them, making sure everything is perfect. And then we'll sign contracts, and then we'll go racing next year, hopefully. Hopefully that's what will happen. But at the moment, it's really hard
confirm what I'll be doing next year, but that is sort of my intentions.
Brilliant to hear that at least you'll be somewhere in Britain. But there's a question coming. We'll get to the fan question now from Rob Venegur. I hope I pronounced his name right. Good evening, Rob. He says, Ben, do you see a future for yourself in the World Superbike paddock?
Yeah. I mean, as a kid, me going to the gym every day and training and stuff, I think about being the best in the world, and that's what motivates me. That's what should motivate everyone. So at this current point of my career, it's, to be the best in Britain in order for me to be the best in the world. So I definitely see a future in the World Championship for sure. I guess every kid's goal is to race MotoGP. So for me to say, I'm quite content in the British Superbike Championship, and that's where I'll stay, I'd be lying. Who knows? That may happen, and that may be a good thing. I don't know, but definitely see a future for sure in the World Championship. I would love to contend for World Championships, that's for sure.
That's brilliant to hear, and of course you need an Australian, a very fast Australian in World Superbikes. But away from motorcycle racing now, I've got another question coming. Before I ask the question, how much do you follow cricket?
I used to play a little bit of cricket, to be honest, just quietly. But, I follow it enough to kind of know what's happening. Yeah, okay. Why is that? Is there a question about cricket?
There is. Simon White wants to know, Ben, what do you think your chances are of making the Ashes? Or making
making the Ashes?
Yeah, making the Ashes. I guess that's a cricket-related question of making a successful campaign in the Ashes. I don't know. I'm not a cricket person myself.
What, me, myself, or the actual Australian team?
We'll go for you yourself, since he's addressed you in the actual question, I think. Yeah, what do you think you'll ever make the Ashes?
The only thing I'll be making is the third row back in the party stand on Boxing Day when I'm watching Australia whoop England's butt. That's about it, really, to be honest.
Oh, dear. We'll hold you to that one. Oh, dear. I'm just checking to see if there's any more. I'm not sure. Oh, there is one more. Simon Hall. So another Simon now. In Australia, they like car racing bikes. They like car racing. Bikes don't get the big coverage. Is that true? Is because obviously Australia is massive into its V8s, into the V8 supercars.
Yeah.
Is that a factor maybe to why the Australian Superbike Championship hasn't got the exposure?
I guess it's a really good question, to be honest. I've never actually thought of that. But yeah, I guess it could have a massive part in it, because the V8 supercars, as probably everyone really knows about, is just such a massive sport. You've got the likes of Red Bull, they've got a team, you've got all these different manufacturers, you've got 50,000, 60,000 people coming to a race meeting, you've got best drivers in the world going there. It is an unbelievable championship in motorsport. And I guess maybe that just floods the media, that is mainstream over there. Everyone knows about V8 supercars. So I guess maybe that just overpowers everything else. And that's got a reason of why the Australian Superbike Championship, can't make that massive mark on, mainstream TV and all these sort of things and get, the 30,000, 40,000 people there. I guess that could have a big part of it.
Exactly, and I suppose there is that divide between cars and bikes, like there is, I suppose, across the world. There's a little bit of it in this country, really, with Formula One and British touring cars. But that's going to be a wrap, because we've gone on for 40 minutes. It's been an absolute pleasure, I've got to say, to talk to you, Ben. Thanks for coming on the show. Yeah, brilliant stuff. I hope you've enjoyed yourself.
No problem, man. Thanks a lot for, giving me the opportunity to speak on here. Been following the show and continue to follow the show. So thanks very much. And yeah, have a good time.
Thanks, Ben. And we'll catch up soon, no doubt. Thank you very much.
Motorsport Radio. The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
And we are live. That was a fantastic insight into the mindset, I would say, of an Aussie doing his best to make it to the top flight in bike racing.
Cricket fans as well, I think, at the end there.
That means all the cricket.
Cricket is. I just thought it's some sort of insect.
Apparently, people like whatever cricket is. I don't know, but it was, and I keep saying this every time that we have a guest on. But what a nice guy he seems like. He really does seem like a totally nice, down to earth chap. Old Ben, you all right there, Kiko?
Bit his tongue.
Kiko bit his tongue whilst drinking water, ladies and gentlemen. It's a good thing we're recording this, isn't it? Because this is going to be a little meme. Anyway, sorry. Back to Ben. As I was saying, he is a totally nice guy, and it seemed like it was a lot of stuff there. I mean, I was surprised at the amount of stuff he revealed about himself. Really.
I didn't know any of that about his backstory to get MBS, but I had no idea he was going to drop out. And it really would have been a massive loss, I think, to British Superbikes.
Well, I think after his first weekend, did he say it was? He said it was a complete disaster. Quote, he said, "I thought about coming home after the first round." Wow. Unbelievable.
And Ben's really popular as well with the fans. You know, he did an amazing swimming celebration when he won in the wet at Alton Park. It was really good. Massive round of applause for the fans. He is a really popular kid, and he's going places. Believe me, he could be one of Australia's next biggest things. And we're not just saying that, he really has got the potential and the talent, and I think he's going to fulfill all of that. He could be in World Superbikes, Leicester, which I believe is next on our agenda.
Ah, yes, the old World Superbike-io.
Yes.
I did have a bunch of things to talk about. Wow, time is sort of flown by already. Loads of Superbike, World Superbike news on the Superbike show, coincidentally enough. But it's not just Superbikes that we talk about, yes, because we also talk about MotoGP, just in case you were wondering. And I know there's some people who think, well, Superbike show, but why do you talk about MotoGP? Well, anyway, it's mostly Superbike based, but also we're not discriminatory against good racing. Put it that way. So World Superbike news, Kiko, what have you got?
Right, we'll do the results first. There's not a lot to talk about with results. Jonathan Ray did the double, got a new points record for World Superbikes, which is brilliant for him. Gave Kawasaki it's the first time that Kawasaki have won all of the last 4 races in a World Superbike season since Anthony Gobert. First time ever they'd won the last 4, but it was the first time they'd ever won the last 2 races and done the double at the end of the season since Anthony Gobert did it at Phillip Island in 1996. On to the news, because there's not a lot more. Apart from Lucas Mahias adds his name to French World Supersport champions. Faure is one of them. Fabien Faure, and you've got Sébastien Charpentier from 2006, and I think you've also got Stefan Chambon from 2000. He actually stepped up to Superbikes a year after, and a bit of a torrid time of things. But there's a lot of French Supersport riders, and Lucas Mahias has added his name to them. He won the race and he won the title, and as well, massive celebrations and stuff. But onto the news, World Superbike news. Can tell you, Eugene Laverty and Lorenzo Savadori have signed again for Milwaukee Aprilia, flashback to 2014 and 15 there. But Laverty and Savadori will remain at Sean Muir's team, although we are understanding that there's a lot more factory involvement there from Aprilia, the factories in Nawale in Italy. We're expecting a lot more direction, integration from the factory to get that bike right up to the sharp end like it was a few years ago. The rumour is that Mick Shanley has left that team, and Mick Shanley is a massive part of the team, basically run the team, and he was apparently seen wandering around Brands Hatch at the British Superbike round a few weeks ago, looking for a job. So a little bit of a staffing change there, staff rotation. We mentioned earlier in the show, Sylvain Gintelli probably won't be on the World Superbike grid now, because Toprak Razgatlioglu has usurped him out of that seat at Puchetti Kawasaki. So Toprak will be on the grid next year. Brilliant, again, more nationalities. Johnny Ray really rates him, and it'd be brilliant to see Toprak on the pace in the top 6 or 7. Great for Turkey, and of course, like we were saying earlier, with the Kazakhstani rider coming into Moto3, that I know the political situation in Turkey isn't great, but we may just see a return to Istanbul Park if Kenan Sofuoglu keeps on dominating in Supersport 600 or returns to dominating ways, and if Toprak Razgatlioglu can really get onto the pace, because no doubt about it, the Turks will flock to Istanbul Park. Next bit of news, Jordi Torres, it was confirmed I think it was the day after we did the last show. We only just missed this news. Jordi Torres has joined the MV Agusta team in 2018. That team is still aspiring to expand to 2 machines, so not sure who's going to be on the second one. I believed it was going to be either Loris Baz or I can't remember who the other rider I was thinking of. Stefan Bradl. But Loris Baz, it is apparent, has joined the Altea BMW team that will downscale from 2 bikes that they run this year with Jordi Torres and with Rafael De Rosa. They're going to downscale from 2 bikes to 1 and have Loris Baz as their sole rider. I think there's going to be a lot of effort going in there. Be interesting to see, though. I think, will BMW stay? Because these regulations have been brought in. BMW one of the first to say they'll just stop going. They won't put any effort in. Be interesting to see if they carry on, although the rules that they said they'd pull out for haven't really been enforced. Like we say, the new rules for World Superbikes are neither here or there. Leandro Mercado, World Superbike followers will know that the IOTA project team, the affiliate team, dropped out after a brilliant year. It's got to be said that Leandro Mercado led a race at Donington Park, race 2. He wasn't at Qatar, but he will be stepping into Superbikes again next year with a new team called Orlac Racing. They're a Supersport team, mildly successful, and it'll be interesting to see how they go. Stefan Bradl, the German, who's missed the end of the season, massive rumours suggesting that he was out of a job at Red Bull Honda, but Red Bull, quite correctly said by Tony Morris, I must say, before he absolutely shouts down at me later for not crediting him this information. Tony Morris quite rightly says Red Bull are really in favour of Stefan Bradl, and it is widely tipped that Stefan Bradl will have a second season at Red Bull Honda to see if they can finally sort that SP2 out. Don't forget, the 10 Kate Honda team, that is the Red Bull Honda squad, have already signed Leon Camier for 2018. Loris Cresson is gone to Calio Racing Yamaha in World Supersport. It's a Belgian rider, so he's going to come up. And he's not the only name to go into Supersport next year. Thomas Gradinger is going to join his teammates to Jules Cluzel at the Nerds Yamaha team, which is an apt name for people like me. The last bit of news that we're going to get to you regarding that, although I've just been told there is some more, is it
breaking news?
It might be breaking up. The last bit is that the British Talent Cup, if you want to go and see all of the races, we said there was some in the British Superbikes. They've also got one confirmed at Donington Park, which is really, really good news, really. So get yourselves to Donington Park and watch the next biggest British stars. I think that would be a fair way to put it. I'm sure I saw a tweet from Randy Krummenacher, Swiss rider. Yes, I did. Randy Krummenacher has joined the Bardal Evans brothers team. You can't miss the bike. It's a yellow Honda bike, although I believe they've changed to Yamaha. Looking at a photo of this, they have. So they've swapped to Yamaha machinery. But either way, Randy Krummenacher will be there for 2018. He returned out of Superbikes. He was the Puchetti Kawasaki rider, like he was in Supersport 2016. Stepped up with the team, got him to World Superbikes for 2017. Steps back to Supersport in 2018, leaves Puchetti, joins the Bardal Evans brothers bike. So that is good news for Swiss fans. Swiss, Belgian, French, Turks, Brits. Brilliant mix of nationality. And the Supersport, not to forget Americans, with PJ Jacobson. That means the Supersport Championship will be one of the toughest, I believe, next season. Could be a real gem. It's been a brilliant year this year. I think it'll be a bit of another one next year. While we're on nationalities, Finnish rider Nicky Dooley and South African, Sheridan and Rice. I could go on and on all night.
I'm sure you could. I bet you would.
But, well, Superbike, Jester.
Ah, yes. The old Kiko's had his crayons out because he doesn't do spreadsheets. He doesn't actually on the sheets themselves. A big, huge little thing he sticks up on his wall, just like he has a big map of the world. Think about this is literally what Kiko does in his spare time. He compiles information about who attended Donington on a Friday in 1993, and then sees if there's been some sort of if it's this year's higher, then it's great. If it's lower, then it's an absolute disaster. So yeah, no, I shouldn't take the piss, but you have been doing some diligent work about World Superbike attendances through the gates, and what have you got?
Right, well, I regret to say that I actually haven't got any comparisons from last season because Dorna do not permit race circuits to publish the viewing figures, which is ridiculous. But never mind, taking my biased hat off just now. I'm going to read you out. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to read you out the top 3 attended events on Friday, Saturday and Sunday, then overall, and then the worst one, which is all from one round. Right. So, the Phillip Island round that starts the season had 61,000 people attend across the 3 days, and it was the third highest attended race day of the season with 30,241. The second best attended race day of the season was in fact the World Circuit Marco Simoncelli with 33,478 on race day. And overall, it was the third best weekend of 68,154 through Friday, Saturday and Sunday. The best best Sunday action came from Thailand, where there was 39,344 people who turned up. And across 3 days, that actually made the best total of the season, 80,379. Now, I'm going to read you out some surprises.
Is Donington one of them?
Massive. I'm not going to tell you. Well, I am going to tell you the best. The best Friday was in Italy, and it was at Imola with 19,701.
For a Friday, that's
very impressive. Yeah. Gotta say. The second best Friday was Laguna Seca with 12,832.
Still good.
On Sunday, that race got 28,000 people in, which is a little bit, there was 85,000 16 years ago. And the third best was the World Circuit Marco Simoncelli, 11,815. But given the size of that place, that's only about a tenth of the seats, so not amazing. Some standouts. We said in an interview with Steve Parish about the Spanish rounds. Aragon, 11,234. Jerez, 11,022. That was on race day. But the worst day, well, the worst weekend, I'm actually going to say it in a really negative way, but I'm going to try and bring it to some positivity. On day one of Lusail, Qatar, the last round of the season, 4,148 people attended. On day two, Lusail, Saturday, that's qualifying and race one for Superbikes, qualifying for Supersport, 5,506 people. On the Sunday, and this is probably the most disappointing, on the Sunday of Qatar, which is race two, of Superbikes, Supersport race as well, and warm-ups, you had 7,685. That gave a round total of 17,339, which was considerably the worst by about 8,000 across the weekend. So 17,300 came across the whole weekend to Lusail. Now, you're going to say to me, that's a disaster.
That's a disaster.
But it's not quite that bad, because I'm going to give you a MotoGP statistic now.
Oh.
Now, they've only been going back to the sale in World Superbikes since, I think, 2014. 14, 15, 16, 17, so it's the fourth year, okay? In the second year of MotoGP, 235 people turned up on the Friday for free practice. Overall, I think on race day, 5,000 people turned up in 2005. Now, that's quite disappointing, given MotoGP at the time had Gibernau, obviously Valentino Rossi, Max Biaggi, Marco Melandri, Nicky Hayden, some massive names there. So, all in all, you know, people look at that World Superbikes statistic and think, oh, disaster, disaster. And I really do wish, I have contacted Dorna for confirmation of this. I want to get last year's attendances and compare them, because I am a geek and I do like the old World, the World Superbike attendances. I love attendance figures. I think they tell us a lot about how our sport's doing, really. But I'm just going to try and find, I know where the document is. It's not on, I haven't saved it. I'm going to try and see.
You're listening to Kiko Googling.
Yeah.
Live. While you do that, I should get to a couple of comments that I think have flooded in.
Okay.
And I will do that once my old Tinternet loads.
Okay.
So, incidentally, thank you to those people who are still tuned in to the show. You've done brilliantly. And you can also download this show as an audio podcast. Yes, but you didn't know that. We also do podcasts here on Motorsport Radio. Go to your usual podcast place, wherever that is, and search for the Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio. Or you can just head directly to our website, motorsport.radio, and look for the Superbike Show, and button on there says download and subscribe, RSS feeds and all that. It's easy, really. Have you found it yet?
I'm still looking. Just you carry on waffling.
I forgot what you were looking at. Anyway, I think perhaps what Kiko might be getting at is, and maybe if I was Dorna, and obviously I'm not, I wouldn't necessarily want people comparing high attendance figures in previous years with low incomes overall in previous years to low attendances and potentially, I don't know if this is the case, potentially high incomes at the moment. Now, that is certainly the case. I can only compare it to, say, Formula One, where that is actually the case, where TV audiences are dwindling, famously, and ticket numbers are dropping, but still it's bigger and richer than ever. So maybe they don't want that sort of comparison, i.e. they don't want the suggestion to say, well, fans aren't really important. We're happy to have less fans, pay more, that'll do us.
I have found the statistic I was looking for. Right, the Qatar one. We'll do 2005. It was an iconic year for MotoGP. 5 million free-to-air channels. 5 million free-to-air viewers in 2005 got MotoGP, but in a massive 276 million
around
people.
The world, was this?
Around the world, yeah. 276 million people watched it in some form live, so that doesn't include highlights. But Qatar, the Qatari Grand Prix, this was 2004, the first year they'd been here, so I was wrong with the second year, but it's the first year. 1,743 people turned up on the Saturday, which compares to 5,506 for World Superbikes now. 395 people turned up on the Friday, which compares to 4,148 people in World Superbikes recently. And on the Sunday, 2,951 people turned up, and 7,685 turned up for MotoGP, for World Superbike, sorry. The problem is, them crowd figures were done on the first year of Qatar. Now,
you do realise, Kiko, more people tune into this show than go to
figures put together.
Mind blowing.
Just while I do one more quick Google and then we're going to sign off air and everything, just promote our show. How many people does it reach, Lester?
It reaches around 30,000 per week. Unbelievable. And today, the 9th of November 2017, is the 1 year anniversary since these studio live shows on Motorsport Radio began. Yes, it was 1 year ago today when Tom Brooks started the first ever Superbike show. I shouldn't take the piss. I do it with affection.
Why are you doing a Chris Tarrant impression?
That's how Tom talks. Sorry, but anyway. But it was 1 year ago to this very day when the first ever show on Motorsport Radio, which wasn't Cool Fab Racing, was live on air, and it was the Superbike show, hosted by Tom Brooks, and it wasn't in visual radio form. It was just in listenable radio form, and we had Philip Backlund on, we had Kiko Alexander-Giles, I think, we had Pete Extons from Bournemouth Kawasaki, I think we had, what's his name, some other riders as well.
And Sophie McGinn.
Oh yeah, yes, McGinn, she was on as well, and Philip Backlund, and I can't remember if Andy Reid was on it at the time as well. But yeah, we had loads of people on, and we had a little bit of a gap in between December or January, and when was it, like September or something, when we restarted the show?
I think we did it in early August.
Yeah,
we did it.
Yeah, and
we did because I remember building up to Italy quite a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, the reason being that Tom left Motorsport Radio to go and work at Dorna, of all places.
What an offer.
Unbelievable.
Well done. He's doing very well as well. Right, just before we go, because I want to get the quick, short facts out, just really, really quickly.
Go on then.
In 2015, these are 2015 figures. I will find 2016 ones. We will release them. I think we'll do it as an article. Right, the Qatari Grand Prix, MotoGP 2015. Now, just some context. That was a brilliant race. Valentino Rossi won it. The first time he'd won the opening race of the season in 10 seasons. It was an all-Italian podium. 2 Ducatis on there as well. Real groundbreaking, one of the best Grand Prix of the year, probably. That only had 10,820 people in on race day. The year before, it had 10,000 flat in. Now, in the grand scheme of things, World Superbikes is only 3,000 behind. This year, there was 30,000 people in for the MotoGP in Australia. This year, there was 30,200 people in for the Australian World Superbike meeting. In 2015, there was 35,000 people in for MotoGP in Australia. Okay, we're 5,000 down again. But what I'm getting at, really, is the fact that at some rounds, there is not that much a big difference. But then you go to rounds like Jerez, which okay, has been dropped, but a Jerez round reached 122,500 people on race day. That's how many people went to the circuit trackside. World Superbikes, a mere 11,000. But like Steve Parish said, there's not that massive call for World Superbikes in Spain. Race day figures for Aragon in 2015, 67,000. Race day figures for Aragon in World Superbikes, 11,200. So, you can draw comparisons in some places, absolutely. But the Australian Grand Prix is the second worst attended meeting of the season, where on race day, with 35,500 people in 2015, but 30,000 in 2017 for World Superbikes. Not always that bad, and sometimes, got to say, we do, there's a little bit of a media bias, but yeah, that's what I've done today. I thought I'll sit down and have a look at the real statistics behind all this. And you know what? Whilst the World Superbike crowd is undoubtedly coming back, and it's dwindled a lot from what it was, not all MotoGP rounds are doing that great either. So maybe MotoGP needs to come under scrutiny a little bit, even though the sport is growing like mad globally, but in specific localised areas, it's not as popular as we may make it out to be. But that's the statistics done, and that's the World Superbike attendance comparison discussion done. Not a lot. It's a bit dry, I know. But it's just, I'll publish what I have, and you can all make heads or tails of it.
I think what we actually need is a nice looking chart for that. Something that we should have planned ahead and done, perhaps. But stick it in an article on either motorsport.radio or on Pit Crew Online, where you can find most of Kiko's great articles and tinterviews as well. Tell us more.
Yeah, at the moment, there's the latest one out. Joe Francis, the Halsall Racing Yamaha rider, got a great interview out with him at the moment. It's just gone out tonight, so get that read, liked, shared, commented on. get it across social media. There's most feature articles. There's a MotoGP preview going up either tonight or tomorrow morning. So great stuff, really. But of course, if you like your four-wheeled stuff as well, there's stuff there. But there's also stuff on Motorsport Radio too. Isn't that not right, Lester?
It is very much correct, yes, because it's not just bikes that we do here on motorsport.radio. No, yes, we also talk about, everything to do with motorsport, basically. If there's something that we have to talk about, we will endeavour to talk about it. So yeah, it's not just all about bikes. Then you can check out everything, including a growing roster of journalists and radio shows, visual radio shows, and lots of exciting things for the future, like the world has never seen, coming in 2018. And it's been a real pleasure to do motorsport radio over the past 12 months, and it's unbelievable that it's already 1 year old. Thank you very much, Kiko Alexander Giles, for doing this show with us, because certainly I would definitely not be able to get past 5 minutes worth of it.
Yeah, just quickly, it's important to thank Steve Parrish, Glenn Irwin, Ben Curry, Steve Buckingham, Tony Morris, everyone who's interacted, you guys listening, you guys watching if you're visual radio, you guys retweeting, sharing the content. Brilliant to know. And the 30,000 people, of course, that do watch this, and we're not lying. Big thanks to Steve. Steve, they watches it over in the MotoGP paddock. He makes a point of watching it. So just great to see, really, that we do get around. Thanks to you all for watching and viewing, because without you guys, there's no point in us doing it. So brilliant to see that you really bothered.
Exactly. And we will be at the Motorcycle Live show in a couple next week, is it? I think next weekend. Oh my God. Woo! Yeah, so we'll be there doing that, and if you see us wandering around with our Motorsport Radio logo and branded stuff and camera and whatnot, come and say hello. We don't bite. We're don't be shy. It'd be great to see you there. And for now, though, that's it. That's the end of the show. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll be back again next week to talk more stuff about bikes.
Motorsport Radio, the Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.